Hello, 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 Georgia Tech TV. Today we are discussing a worldwide famous outlaw, El Chapo. Today here with us we have the detective who's done intensive research and was a primary factor in his capturing. Please introduce yourself. Hello, my name is Dr. Rob Clevistig. I have a PhD in criminology from UPenn and I've been working with the United States government for about 20 years now. I was the major detective on the El Chapo case, and I had provided many of the evidence and research that gave us huge leads to his capturing. So, Dr. Clevistig, what do you think made El Chapo such a definite outlaw? Please, give us an example. Well, defying the law on a massive scale basically makes someone textbook definition outlaw. He led the Sinaloa cartel, which is one of the most powerful, dangerous cartels in the world, feared by many governments, including ours. It started in Mexico, but has expanded globally. His ability to evade capture, especially with his dramatic prison escapes, make him infamous. Once again, defying the system set, breaking through it. He, El Chapo, has built his famous criminal empire on illegal activities, violence, corruption. Typical of outlaws throughout history. Okay. So, what specific illegal activities made him such a notorious outlaw? Could you highlight a few examples for us? El Chapo's cartel smuggled enormous amounts of drugs throughout our borders. 130 kilograms of cocaine and heroin, according to the Justice.gov United States page, but also methamphetamine and marijuana. Besides excessive drug trafficking, as previously mentioned, his cartel was involved in money laundering, extortion, kidnapping, and thousands of murders, which made them highly feared and gave them power. His crimes were mass scale and ruthlessness, and that cemented his place as one of the most dangerous outlaws in the world. He redefined a cartel and created new limits for a criminal outlaw. Well, as we all know, El Chapo escaped prison not once, but twice. How did these notorious rebellious acts further enhance his reputation as an outlaw? Well, these escapes enhanced his reputation because he had to once again set a new standard, which created a new prison system. The first prison he escaped was a federal maximum security prison in Mexico. He escaped that in 2001 by bribing guards and with help of associates digging a tunnel. And then he once again escaped ADX Florence. And these are why I'm quoting these sources from Britannica, of course. And his ability to outsmart these prisons had to create a new system. These escapes weren't just a matter of freedom. They're representative of his defiance against the law. Every time he escaped, it just reinforced his legend as someone untouchable who could outmaneuver the system no matter how hard he was being watched. He always just flew under the radar. Well, regarding his abilities to evade the law, could you elaborate a little bit more on his correlations with bribery and corruption? How does this make him more of an outlaw, would you say? Well, corruption and bribery were the basis for El Chapo's survival and success in his criminal enterprise. He didn't just operate in the shadows, he infiltrated the system. His net worth was estimated at $1 billion by Forbes magazine, and some accounts put the average revenue at about $3 billion. From civil servants to senior politicians, there were many on his payroll for decades, allowing them to defeat his enemies in the law. It also showed how deep his power was, making it difficult for justice to reach him. Extortion helped him keep his criminal empire floating, and numerous crime scenes prevented him from being caught for so long. Not only did he outsmart the system, but he was really good at it. Well, Dr. Clevistig, a big pressing question that not a lot of people know. A lot of local people saw El Chapo as a folk hero and not necessarily a criminal figure. Do you have an explanation for this? How he was viewed in such a positive light despite all his illegal activities? Well, there's a multitude of factors that contribute to El Chapo's status as a folk hero. For one, he was seen as a provider in many areas controlled by his cartel. He invested into local communities, offered financial assistance to people experiencing poverty, helped with roads, schools, hospitals. In a region where the government was often seen as corrupt or absent, people turned to figures like El Chapo for stability. Even if exaggerated and debatably morally wrong, it gave him a degree of popularity despite the violence he was responsible for. similar to how the public romanticized other outlaws throughout history. Well, we all know El Chapo was part of a cartel, and as a group, could you explain how their violence really contributed further to his outlaw status? Well, one of his primary strategies to remain powerful was extreme violence. Torture and killing of rivals, law enforcement, informants, his cartel was notorious for its brutal tactics. This widespread violence outstretched terror throughout Mexico and beyond. This extreme brutality is what makes El Chapo a classic outlaw, ruling through fear and constructing a heritage of criminality and bloodshed. So I know El Chapo had a pretty international impact. How did his operations make him a global outlaw? El Chapo's spread went far beyond Mexico and spread across borders as he gained power. His cartel supplied drugs to countries around the world. Mainly, they smuggled drugs into the U.S., which is why people like me had to get involved. And this is where much of his wealth, the $1 to $3 billion, was generated. However, the cartel also has a global drug trafficking network, smuggling narcotics beyond North America, further into Europe and even parts of Asia. This international scope made him one of the most wanted men by U.S. authorities and other international authorities across the world. As a global criminal, he is definitely wanted nationally everywhere, and his operations on such a massive scale across borders elevated him from a local issue to an international outlaw. Well, the more you know. Thank you guys for listening in here at Georgia Tech TV. I hope we're all more educated on El Chapo today, and we will see you back next week.